Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel if this is your first time here, and welcome back if it's not. As you can see, if you're a friend of the channel, that this is my longest video yet, and if you're new to the channel, you can also see that this is probably about a, I don't know yet, 20-30 minute video. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things to get this out there. I love making long form content like this, so please do all the things to get this in the algorithm. I would really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a copyright law statement. Bury the copyright law statement.
God, that was such an awful Dr. Doofenshmirtz impression. I swear to God, the other day I did a really decent one. I think my throat's all messed up. Allergies have been just kicking my kicking my butt. Anyway, Candace Fletcher has always reminded me of my sister. She'd always tattle on me if I did anything against the rules. But the difference between my sister and Candace is I always got in trouble. However, as time went on, Candace's character went from being solely focused on busting her siblings to caring for them, and at times genuinely enjoying some of the problems caused, especially when Jeremy thought it was cool. But it always seemed like someone or something had it out for her. Hers is a tragic story wrought with failure, perseverance, and a deep-seated need to be validated. And I would too. Across 189 episodes and 2 movies, she fails time and time again to prove to her mother that the boys are up to no good. Not only would I have given up a long time ago, I probably would have helped my brothers, figuring that if we got caught, I would just tell my mom, look, I told you, you didn't believe me, but I told you. And if she got mad at me, I would say, look, I told you time and time again that this was going on and what they were doing, and not once did you believe me. This just seemed easier than giving myself an aneurysm over it. But that's not Candace. Not only is she hard-headed, she has a deep-rooted need to be right, and we'll talk about the times when Candace tried her best to bust her brothers and failed time and time again. It is an obsessive-compulsive issue, and it is insecurity. Now, is it a need to be right or need to just feel validated for once in her life? Today, we will be exploring Candace Fletcher in depth. Oh my, I lost my spot. This is what I get for being a dumbass. Okay. Okay. It would be safe to say that people who blame the universe have no one else but themselves to blame. However, I would argue in the case of Candace Fletcher that she would be justified in this take. Nothing goes right for this girl. Much like Stan Marsh from South Park, she time and time again watches the people around her get handed good things in life. My mind automatically goes to the episode titled Cartman Land. Eric inherits $1 million and is able to buy a water park. He has been nothing but evil and awful, and I firmly believe that if Eric would have made a separate line for himself and then made a rule where when he rode a ride that everyone would have to wait for him to get onto the separate car or the separate log or whatever, and then he would ride the ride by himself, and then everyone would have to ride together okay, I got sidetracked. Where was I? Anyway, so in this episode, Stan gets hemorrhoids and questions God's existence, and only gets better when Cartman fails. And I firmly believe that if Phineas and Ferb was an adult animated comedy, that this would be a plotline in the show. Now, some might argue that if she just let it go, she might be able to enjoy herself. However, she isn't allowed to enjoy herself. She's the sister in an early 2000s sitcom. It's her job, her role, and the life that she was destined to live. She was handed cards that she had no choice in, and shit. Okay, I was saving something like this for the outro. Anyway, let's get into the next section. Now, where does this obsessive nature come from? I think it stems from the divorce between Linda and Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Or perhaps Dr. Doofenshmirtz was an absent father and his obsession with taking care of Vanessa comes from abandoning his kids. Again, Phineas and Candace. I don't need to mention the fan theories, but I mean, obviously Doofenshmirtz is Phineas and Candace's dad. It's not that hard to look at the head shapes and say, yeah, you know what, that makes sense. Now, we can look at that and see why Candace is obsessed with order and control and making sure her brothers are okay. She already lost her dad, she can't lose her brothers. It's not a need to bust per se, rather a need to see that her little brothers don't hurt themselves. They are able to so that they're able to continue and grow and be in her life, because she'll be damned if she loses someone else. Now, before I get into the next section, I'm going to do a little bit of an improv bit here where I talk about fan theories. There's a fan theory that Candace is... All of the characters in the show are based off of characters in real life, for the most part. Dr. Doofenshmirtz was Candace's psychiatric doctor. Perry was the house pet. Linda and what's his name, the stepdad, are, the parents. And Phineas and Ferb were Candace's two little brothers who got into an accident on a roller coaster, and that's what the show is based on. Candace had a mental breakdown, ended up in a psychiatric ward, again with Dr. Doofenshmirtz as her doctor, and these are stories from Candace that while she's in a state of psychosis, talking, well, this is what happened. And I think, I really think that's where her obsessive nature to take care of her little brothers comes from. She wasn't able to protect them then, and she's going to protect them now. Now, we can get on to the rest of the episode, but I would feel like I would be amiss if I didn't mention these things. Anyway. It would make sense to start with the first episode. It was a solid introduction to the characters. You can tell that Dan and Swampy already knew the characters from the start, and I'm not here to analyze the rest of the characters yet. That will be for a separate video. Sorry, I just got a Facebook notification. It was really, really weird. I'm gonna look at that really quickly. What was that? What are you talking about? Oh. No, go away. Okay. No. Anyway, so, like I said, it would make sense to start from the start, and you could tell that Dan and Swampy already knew their characters. And I'm not here to analyze the rest of the characters yet. That's for a separate video. I said all this already. I'm just here for Candace. The premise of the episode is simple. Phineas and Ferb build a roller coaster, and Candace spends the episode trying to get evidence to bust them. If I recall correctly, she takes pictures, brings a poster, and tries to prove to her mother that the boys are doing something dangerous. It's simply out of a deep care to keep her brothers safe. And fair enough, building a roller coaster is dangerous, much less for 10 or 11-year-olds. And on top of that, it's much more dangerous to ride the roller coaster built by actual children. And fair enough. I mean, like, if my friends were like, hey guys, we built a roller coaster that goes all the way around the city, I would be like, oh, hell no. Absolutely not. You guys have fun with that. I'm gonna have 911 pulled up on my phone for when this thing falls and crashes. I mean, I'm pretty sure they go up to space, and the roller coaster they're riding on picks up so much speed that it starts to get that comet trail thing when the comet starts to catch on fire and whatnot. Absolutely not. I already hate roller coasters enough to not ride them. I'm not gonna ride a roller coaster built by my 10, 11-year-old friends, geniuses in engineering or not. So this next episode isn't so much about Candace busting them, but it's more about the tragedy that is Candace Fletcher. She was minding her own business and then ends up with, and she has the misfortune of squirrels ending up in her pants, as the song says. God, this is a weird show. So the plot of this episode is the boys want to engrave their faces on a comet that passes only X amount of years, and Candace wants to spend the day looking at the comet with Jeremy. Anyway, she ends up getting embarrassed in front of Jeremy because Susie puts an acorn in her pants, and a bunch of squirrels follow the acorn into her pants. This is such a weird show. Okay. Anyway, and Jeremy ends up actually still wanting to spend time with Candace, which I don't think is anything special. I mean, it's not her fault that these things happen, and it's just something that happened. And I think that, if I were to have a friend who were to end up with squirrels in their pants, I would call them squirrel pants from then on, and that would be their nickname until I came up with something funnier. So, no, I really don't think like this episode isn't particularly anything special, but you know, of course, the famous meme of
There's squirrels in my pants!
happened. So yeah. Oh man, I thought this script was gonna be super long, but I'm only halfway through writing my script. What I originally just wanted to write my script, and I'm only at pages 2 out of 4. The last time that I tried recording this video, it ended up being 15 minutes, and I didn't even make it past page 3.5, I think. So let's get ready for this. Jesus. Now, the next and last episode that I want to talk about, and I really want to like have more time to do these things. I wish I could do this as a full-time job and like go into like an episode from all 4 seasons, or even like 3 or 4 episodes from all 4 seasons. But unfortunately, I have to have a real job before until this takes off. So the next episode I really want to talk about, is this the last? Oh, okay, this is not the last episode I want to talk about. The next episode is the last episode. This episode I'm actually going to go like on a little bit of an improvisational rant. That was weird that I messed up that line. I just need to take a breath. Oh, I'm exhausted. Okay. So this episode is an interesting episode. So I'm pretty sure the A plot of the episode, I'm pretty sure it's the A plot, is that the boys and their friends want to race hot air balloons, which is fair enough, which is a pretty cool concept. And Candace goes on a train ride. She learns about the abominable will of man from one of her grandparents, and doesn't try to bust her episodes in this episode necessarily. Instead, she why did I write that line twice? Okay. Anyway, it's a neat episode to see this new perspective where she doesn't focus on it. Obviously, it's hard for her, but she ends up spending the time on the train, riding the train. The plot of the episode begins with Phineas walking into the room, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, and I'll probably mention this particular scene again, but Phineas walks into the room and he's like, "Hey Candace, what you doing today?" And she's like, "Well, you guys are probably going to do something crazy. I'm going to try busting you and it's going to fail." And she feels defeated and wants to give up, but she talks to one of her grandmothers who's like, "No, you can't ever give up." And then the next part of this episode, they're going on a train ride, and she learns that one of the grandparents was a conductor of trains, and the train that she used to be the conductor of is on its last trip, and it's going to try to make it to this top of this really big hill. And Candace spends this episode hyper-fixating on getting this train to the top of the hill, doing whatever it takes, going as far as disassembling the entire train and using it as fuel to make it to the top of the hill, which it does. It's a really good lesson, and it's a really good episode, and it's a nice break from the norm. You know, the lesson obviously being here, like, no matter what happens in your life, no matter what goes on, you need to persevere. And it's just a good episode overall. Now, this is the last episode that I will be discussing. No, it's not. I forgot to do the pause thing. Okay, hopefully editing me can fix it. Yes, okay, so this is the last episode I will be discussing, and it is called Phineas and Ferb Get Busted. The episode is where the boys do get busted. It's weird, it's surreal, and I hate it. There's a darkness to this episode. It feels off. I don't know how to explain it. It's not just the Clockwork Orange eye holder things, it's the vibe. We see 2 genius little boys have all of their creativity and joy sucked out of them. The plot of the episode is that the boys get busted at the beginning, finally, and they end up in a military school in a military state in the tri-state area. They end up buzz cuts and they're brainwashed, and soon all of the fun and creativity in the area is banned. I think it's interesting that Dan and Swampy went with this concept for an episode, especially for children. They didn't make it too scary, they didn't make it too creepy, but they just made it weird enough. And they did a really good job with that balance. It's a fun episode overall, and it's kind of weird that it wasn't the last episode in the series. It only took place in episode 16 of season 1, and you would think that would mean that Candace would want to stop busting the boys. Jesus Christ, if I can get through one video without my cat trying to get inside of my room, it will be the day that hell freezes over, I swear to God. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up this section and then figure out my cat. So it turns out at the end of the episode that it's only a dream sequence, but it's still kind of weird that it wasn't the last episode, because she learns, like, oh, she shouldn't try to control their creativity. Instead, she learns that, like, she should just let the boys be boys, but of course that's not how the formula of the show works, which is something that we'll get into later. I honestly forgot about this whenever I started writing this section, but this is, like I said, a dream sequence, and it kind of felt like an FU to the audience, as all dream sequences do. It's a good episode, and that Clockwork Orange scene has stuck with me all these years later, and I think the reason that it really stuck with me was because of how weird it was. It was just a weird scene, like, episode overall. It was out of the format. I could probably tell you beat for beat what happens in this episode better than any other episode except for the first one. And that's just because the first episode was, on rerun all the time on Disney Channel. Anyway, let's get to the next section. I'm a little nervous because my Soundtrap recording is starting to mess up this early, and I'm only halfway through the script. Okay, anyway, so this next section, now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's talk about her some more in depth and the tragedy that is Candace Fletcher. We've talked a bit about how she reminds me of Stan Marsh, but she really does. No matter what happens in her life, the boys always get the upper hand, much like Cartman does to Stan. Now, the difference is the one time Candace does win, like I said before, it's a dream. Now, why can't Candace win? Well, we'd have no sure. Sure, there's Alka and Perry and Dr. Doofenshmirtz, but we've seen what happens when we base a show around that. Okay, I was gonna put an image of the ratings on the screen, but actually they averaged around 60 to 70% ratings-wise, and considering that it's a short-lived spin-off, it's not too bad. But really, the main core of the show is that Candace trying to bust the boys and failing. It's what we've come to expect. Candace is not only an amazing sister, but someone who is willing to face adversity head-on, even when she knows that she will likely fail. As I mentioned before with the train episode, where Phineas was like, "Hey, Candace, what you doing today?" And Candace was like, "Well, you guys are gonna do something crazy, and I'm gonna try to bust you, and I'll fail." Anyway, not the point. And that's what makes her honorable. She's not the villain. She's the tritagonist at the core, if you choose to look at the show from her lens. We've discussed the theory that Doof is Phineas and Candace's father, and as someone who is a child of divorce, I can understand the need for control, for wanting to keep my younger siblings safe and protected from the real world. Now that I'm older, my job is to corrupt them by encouraging them to sneak out and break rules and stuff, but that is neither here nor there. I can understand why she just wants to keep them safe, to make their lives better, to make them safer, to make sure that not only they can reach their potential, but live long enough to reach their potential. She's not the antagonist, she's the hero that Phineas and Ferb never knew they needed, but the one that they deserved. Hi Shinobi, hi kitty cat. My cat's in heat right now, so if you hear cat and heat noises, that's why. Do you want to say hi to the people on the YouTube? No, you just want to smell the microphone? No, you stinky. Anyway, yeah. Well, let's get back to the script. Okay, so, oh, now you're making noises? Oh, now you're gonna go up to the door and decide you want to leave? Okay, so, man, allergies are killing me. Okay, I should know we got. Now, this next section is going to be a little bit jumbled, but I promise it kind of ties back together in the end, so just bear with me. Now, I don't watch a lot of children's television anymore because I'm an adult, and a lot of it is just straight up bad, like really bad, like not even worth watching because I'm curious kind of bad. Like, back in the day, like, SpongeBob was never, like, the pinnacle of television, but obviously it influenced a generation, and we saw a lot of bad television shows, like Sanjay and Craig, and Fanboy and Chum Chum. Like, there's to no end of bad children's programming, but there's also plenty of good children... Cat, stop it. Bad children's programming. And throughout the history of television, there has always been a trope that I've noticed. Cat, stop scratching the carpet. We rent this place. Stop it. Anyway, where was I? Throughout the history of television, there's always been a trope that I've noticed, and that is the troubled child and rule-following tattletale sibling trope. Something I experienced in... Cat, come here. Okay, I'm gonna just leave her alone. Okay, something I experienced in my real life, as I mentioned before. I know that I can't just sit here and list every sibling dynamic like this, but there are a few that come to mind. The first one is Alex and Justin Russo of Wizards of Waverly Place. They share a dynamic with Candace and the boys, despite the gender roles being switched. And trust me, this sort of thing was a staple across television. A couple more that comes to mind was the cast of Good Luck Charlie and Liv and Maddie. And honestly, I stopped watching Disney Channel when Liv and Maddie was still on the air. I would, however, occasionally hop on Cartoon Network to watch Gumball and regular show Adventure Time, and you guys can hate me, but I kind of enjoyed Teen Titans Go. Like, there's a reason that it was on the air for so long. It was funny, goofy, and it was just light enough to... Cat, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it if you don't stop. Ugh. Okay, I gotta get through this next section. I'll let the cat out. Okay. And the last thing I remember about Liv and Maddie is the house either being destroyed, or they were going to Hollywood, or Joey realized he had feelings for the one chick. I would hop onto Disney Channel every once in a while when Liv and Maddie was on, because I kind of enjoyed the show to some extent. And like I said, like, I probably stopped watching when they went to Hollywood, and then finished up the series, watching the series whenever Joey realized that he had feelings for the chick. Either way, I grew up in an era where this was happening, and not to be the guy who says modern day kid shows bad, but modern day kid shows bad. And I'm gonna guess that this trope is long gone, hopefully. Instead, hopefully replaced by a different trope, something new and exciting and relatable to children. Or not. It's probably been replaced by mindless, incoherent babbling, flashing lights, and plots so thin if you breathe on them, they break. Which is fine, it's children's television, it doesn't need to always be groundbreaking. And this trope that I was talking about it's used up. Not really a point in exploring it anymore. I just let my cat out. Hopefully she calms down. Oh man. I need to get a PC. This is getting really bad. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay, so here. Before we wrap this up, we should probably talk about what the creators intended with her in the first place. Dan and Swampy have said that in interviews that Candace was designed to be the sibling antagonist, someone who always tries to bust her brothers and always fails because that's the formula. They wanted to show a repeated structure. The boys build something wild, Candace tries to bust them, and the invention disappears before mom sees it. I believe I talked about this a little bit earlier. It's a classic cartoon looping logic. The fun is in the pattern, but over time, maybe unintentionally, Candace started to evolve. They gave her more emotional depth, more relationships, more chances to be the protagonist of her own side story. And the result was something kind of rare in this kind of show. A reoccurring joke character who started feeling like the most human person in the cast. Whether or not it was intentional, Candace became more of a plot device. She became someone you could relate to, someone you could feel bad for, and someone who, if you squint, might just be the heart of the show. Anyway, all of that was just kind of rambling nonsense. We're a little past 20 minutes here, so let's try to finish this up. So, anyway, my defendant Candace Fletcher is the hero of Phineas and Ferb. She might be portrayed as the tattletale sibling, but growing up with mine, I know for a fact that she only told on me out of love, not a need to get me in trouble, for the most part. Now, with the mindset that if I don't follow the rules now, I never will. And that's why I ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to pass a non-guilty verdict on Candace Fletcher, sister, friend, and someone whose only crime is caring too much. Thank you. Now, if you like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. If you hated it, dislike it, and comment why I'm wrong. Engagement is engagement, and you're only adding fuel to the fire. If you liked me talking at you for the however 25, 30 minutes, I have a few other videos that you might like. My favorite being my Cartman video, or even my Klaus or Bluey video. Screw it, they're all good. Also, YouTube tanks my Klaus videos, so if you stumble across this one and stuck around this long for whatever reason, please go show it some love. It really is one of my favorite videos. And in the background, I'm working on a several-part Family Guy series legacy show, where I talk about I'm actually going to start a whole series of legacy series shows. So like shows that have like 5, 6+ seasons. And I'm going to talk about all the main characters. I'm going to talk about the showrunners. I'm going to talk about the plots of the seasons, overarching themes, and stuff like that. And I'm going to do that in 4-season chunks so I don't give myself an aneurysm trying to do all of it. And coming up next, my wife said I should do Popeye. I don't know how I'm going to find it anywhere. I'll probably be able to find it on March Cartoon Online. Anyway, I have to make sure my kids get to bed at a decent time. So until next time.
God damn it, I didn't have an anal probe! Screw you guys, I'm going home.